Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Hi, this is Lori Johnson with Hancock Whitney Bank, and you're listening to Local Leaders, the podcast. Visit localleadersthepodcast.com for previous episodes or for information on appearing on the show.
Hey everyone, it's Jim Chapman with Local Leaders, the podcast, and I want to make you aware of a fantastic deal they have going on right now at Fit Body Boot Camp in Denham Springs, Louisiana. If you go to the link getfitdenhamsprings.com/local leaders, you can get $30 off of the regular price of $129 for 30 days of classes. Go to the link, click it, sign up. 30-day classes for only $99 through that link. It's a special deal offered to all of our listeners at Local Leaders, the podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Local Leaders, the podcast. Mr. Jasper Brock from the Brock Law Firm is here. So first I want to say welcome to Local Leaders, the podcast.
Well, thank you.
So we're excited to have you on. You've been around a long time. Not that you're that old, but you've been around a little while here in Livingston Parish. Weren't born here or born in Baton Rouge. Where were you born?
I was born in Bari, Italy.
Bari, Italy, and military background, not only with you, but with your father.
Right. All the way back to my grandfather.
Okay.
Was a retired general, actually.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then my father was in the Air Force, and now he was stationed in Europe, and I was born in Italy while he was there.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. So we want to talk about, obviously, your history with your law firm and a little bit of your history prior to that. So I guess I kind of want to go back to the beginning. What initially led you to the law?
That's a hard question. I always had an interest in it. When I was in college, I worked at the state legislature, where the laws are being made. Then first went to college right out of high school, and the discipline didn't take, so I partied too much.
Yeah.
They asked me not to come back, so
been there.
I went and did 4 years in the military, and then when I came back to college, I did fairly well in college then, but I still wasn't any good at math, and had an interest in the law and figured out I could go to law school and only take one math, so that's what I did.
That's what you did. Hey, I can relate. Trust me. And math is something. If you're going to be a mathematician, that's great. But if you're going to be a lawyer, I mean, all you need to do is be able to add up your invoices, I guess, and things like that. But so you mentioned the service, and what branch were you in?
I was in the Navy.
Navy, go Navy, beat Army, right?
Right.
Yeah. So served 4 years there, and actually you just got recognized, I believe, by the governor, veteran-owned business.
Yeah, it's a new thing that they started. Actually, one of my friends that I was in college and law school with, Franklin Foyle, who's he's a Navy reservist captain and a state senator.
Yeah.
He had gotten this bill passed about veteran-owned businesses.
That's a beautiful thing. Very good, and definitely should be recognized. And I saw that actually on your Facebook page, which we're going to link to the description of this video. And just a good thing that those veteran-owned businesses get recognized. Now, you went to LSU and you graduated in 1988, and then you went to Tulane for your law degree.
I did.
Very good, and that shows me you're smart. Right there, because you'll argue with me, but let me tell you, Tulane is no joke for people out there. Just this year, they're ranked 46 out of the top 50 law schools in the country. So when you have a lawyer representing you, you want one that's smart. That's kind of your first, I guess
hurdle. It helps.
It definitely helps. It definitely helps. So that's where that law school comes into play. In Tulane, like I said, that's no joke. A great law school. So off you go. You graduate from Tulane, and now I guess it's time to take the bar. Mm-hmm. How was that? Hard as everybody says?
Miserable. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Just difficult.
Miserable 8 weeks of just nothing but studying.
Yeah.
And then the test is, back when I took it anyway, it was a week long, two 2-hour tests in the morning and a 3-hour test after lunch on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Wow, that's a grind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just on all aspects of the law, I would imagine.
Everything, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you passed it, obviously, because you're here. But kind of your first, I wouldn't say your first experience with something tough like that, but probably your biggest challenge at that point in your life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
never want to do it again.
Yeah, never want to do it.
And
I don't blame you.
And if my life depended on it, I couldn't pass it tomorrow.
Well, that's like people say that about the driver's exam. They're like, you pass it when you're 16, and then never again do you want to take it. It's just been driving my whole life. I can't tell you. I don't know, 20 feet from a school bus. Who knows? I can't remember. So you pass the bar, and eventually you make your way here to Livingston Parish. So kind of tell me how you ended up in LP, first of all.
Well, I started off at the Attorney General's office.
Okay.
When I was in law school, I worked for the Attorney General's office in the criminal division, and I worked exclusively on the prosecution of the Champion Insurance Company.
Yeah.
Which people probably don't remember, but
I remember that.
30 years ago, they were the number one low-cost insurance company in Louisiana, and they were ripping people off, and it was lots of people lost lots and lots of money. So the state was prosecuting the owners and whatever for stealing people's premiums, not paying claims. So I did that. So when I graduated, I went to work at the Attorney General's office and had a case in Livingston Parish against one of its more famous lawyers, Wayne Stewart.
Yeah, Wayne Stewart.
Wayne.
Yeah.
So we were having a meeting or something, and I had about an hour-long meeting with Wayne, and we got finished. He said, "How much money are you making over there?" I said, "Not a lot." And he said, "Why don't you come over here and work with me?" So that's how I got here. Interesting.
And look, Wayne Stewart was no joke as a lawyer. Great lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
Woody Everton has mentioned him a couple times in his podcast, and he says, probably the best defense lawyer out of Livingston Parish at his time, So, yeah, good guy to kind of, I guess, learn from when you're learning that side of the law.
A good guy to learn what to do and a good guy to learn what not to do.
That's right. That's right. Someone once told me a smart man learns from their mistakes. A wise man learns from other people's mistakes. So, yeah, it'd be a good one. I guess the first obvious question anyone would have is why criminal defense? So many aspects of the law, everything from title law to, run the gamut, but you chose criminal defense, which is something that probably to me, the most intriguing part of the law, and one of the most important parts of the law. the Sixth Amendment. So kind of, why was it just because that was kind of what Wayne was in and y'all talked about it, or was there more of a passion there?
It was definitely, that was the reason that I went and worked with him, was because he did a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the Attorney General's office, doing the prosecution, I enjoyed way more than doing the civil stuff.
Yeah.
And then, when I had this deal with Wayne, I said, well, how much criminal am I going to be able to do? And he said, probably 80%. I said, well, I'd rather do that. I excelled in criminal law classes in law school. And when I was a clerk for other firms in New Orleans, when I was in law school, they'd send me to do research, and I'd research a case, and then the next one would be, in the case book would be something about a murder case, and I'd find myself reading that because it was just so much more interesting. Yeah,
it really is. And interestingly enough, in podcasting, it's the number one genre. So it's something that the general public has a huge interest in. Criminal.
Yeah, there's no TV shows about title lawyers.
No. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So that's a great point. And another thing that intrigues me about it, and you kind of touched on this, but it's different every case, right? Like, it's not monotonous.
No, every day is different.
Yeah, and that's something that I look at and I think, man, it's got to be really an interesting life to have so many different cases and you're defending these and all of that sort of stuff. So one thing I do want to say about that, it's often misunderstood, criminal defense. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I represented a guy it was a horrible case. I was appointed, a guy by the name of Jeffrey Reynolds, who got high on the synthetic marijuana and cut his wife's baby out of her stomach. And, I got death threats and everything else, how can you, first of all, I didn't have a choice. I got appointed.
Yeah.
But, just because you represent somebody doesn't mean you agree with what they did or that you even like the person.
Sandra Richard has been in the business of selling homes for over 20 years. This award-winning realtor brings the perfect blend of professionalism, integrity, and client satisfaction to every buying and selling transaction. A passion for both her clients and her community makes Sandra the perfect choice when buying or selling your home. So if you're in need, call the Cajun Lady, Sandra Richard, at 225-955-5484 or visit her on the web at sandrasellshouses.com. Sandra Richard, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. Yeah. Wow. And you're right. I mean, number one, so you were a public defender on that case, I would imagine.
I've not been a public defender, but I have a contract with them to handle cases for them where they have a conflict. Gotcha.
And that's through the 21st Judicial?
Okay. And sometimes they find conflicts when they're really not there, but
yeah. I hear you. So and so you don't get to pick and choose that necessarily. No. Right. Now in your private practice, you probably have a little more levity, I guess absolutely. Would be the good word. Yeah. Have you ever turned down a case?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah. So the point I'm getting at to the listeners and viewers out there is criminal defense. First of all, as the Sixth Amendment says, everybody's entitled to a defense, right? And sometimes you're just defending the rights more than even the person in some cases, and you're just making sure that everybody's following the law.
That's exactly true. I mean, the Constitution. Whenever there's a Supreme Court justice, confirmation, everybody says, "Oh, we want somebody who follows the Constitution." Well, what they mean is they want somebody who's pro Second Amendment or whatever.
Yeah.
But the Bill of Rights, 4 of them have to do with criminal law.
100%. Yeah.
So there's 4 other rights in there that, that are your rights that somebody has to protect, just like the police are protecting the citizens and making sure the citizens follow the rules. It's our job to make sure the police and the prosecutors follow those 4 rules.
That's right. That's right. And without that, we're not the country we are, in my opinion. I mean, the Sixth Amendment, excuse me, the Sixth Amendment and the laws that it represent, to me, make this country very unique.
Well, it's not only the Sixth. I mean, the Fourth with the search and seizure.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, 100%. And so you have to have, obviously, with the Sixth Amendment, you have the right to a speedy trial, you have the right to a defense, you have the right to an impartial jury, all of those sorts of things, and that's what you're ensuring happens. Right. Now, is everybody that gets charged with a crime guilty?
No.
No, they're not.
No. There's, I won't say there's a lot that are innocent. But it's more than you would think. Yeah.
And you know what? I did my research a little bit, and I was curious. I researched just how many people are in prison, and they're likely innocent. And it kind of astounded me, the number, 5%. Right. So that's 5 out of every 100. To break that down, make it easy, math, for those of us that hate math.
And to put on top of that, the Supreme Court just recently ruled that actual innocence is not something that you can argue.
Yes.
When you go before the Supreme Court, well, they could care less if you were actually innocent. They only care if, some procedure was not followed or some right was, actual innocence is not, not reviewable.
Let me tell you, if you're an innocent person in prison, that hurts. That's imagine that. Put yourself in that spot. I mean, sometimes things just happen that shouldn't happen, and that's where good attorneys come into play, like you. And if someone's innocent, and you can find that and prove that, you're going to do it. And so that's important to keep in mind, that it does happen. Not everybody that's charged with something is necessarily guilty. Majority maybe, but look, if there's one out there that's innocent that's charged with something, we got to have a Jasper Brock out there defending them, right?
Right.
So but I was really shocked by that stat, that being at 5%. That to me is
it doesn't shock me. It's just the way the system is. I mean, it's the best system there is, but
100%.
But it's, there's problems when you get arrested, even if you're innocent. You get arrested for something that you're innocent for, especially during COVID.
Yeah.
People would get arrested, and let's say they're totally innocent, and they're sitting there, they're in jail, they can't afford to bond out, and they say, well, if you plead guilty this, we'll let you out of jail on probation, but I'm not guilty of it. Okay, well, it's COVID. You're not going to get a trial for a year. So you have a choice. You can stay in jail for a year to prove that you didn't do it, or you can say you did it and get out today.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time.
Yeah. One of the things that separates you is your vast length of experience, nearly 30 years.
Yep.
Yeah. And primarily criminal defense all that time.
Mostly, I'd say for the first 10 years, or maybe first 15 years, I did a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
Did family law, which I hated.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Did the car wrecks and stuff like that, which is, easy to do, and you make lots more money doing it, but, everything evolves, and now that's almost all going exclusively to the Gordon McKernans and the Peyton Murphys of the world, who's spending $2 and $3 and $5 million a year advertising.
Yeah. Billboards all up and down the interstate, right? Yeah. So and look, we need you guys that focus on that, the stuff that you focus on, to stay in those fields, and we don't want you obviously leaving and all of that. Now, how much these days, how much of your caseload would you say is devoted to criminal defense on a percentage basis?
99%.
Yeah, expert. Yeah, so if you need a criminal defense attorney, that's what you want to hear. Right. The issue, you don't want someone that has we keep using title attorneys like I'm picking on them, but what pops in my mind, a title attorney to defend you in a criminal case. They might be the best title attorney in the world, but you need someone with experience like what you have. I would imagine that's
right, and you don't want me anywhere near your contract dispute.
Yeah, no, not at all. I hear you, and look, that's the facts. Attorneys nowadays, I find a lot do kind of specialize in something, even though they can do other things like successions. Do you do those? No successions.
Famous Wayne Stewart line.
Yeah.
There was people would call and say, "You use successions?" And Wayne would say, "Brother, I can't even spell it."
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Very good. So the experience, a big thing with you. BJ Pawn and Gun in Denham Springs wants to buy your unwanted gold jewelry, gold coins, and gold bullion. With 30 years of experience operating in the Livingston Parish area, BJ Pawn wants to be your source when selling your gold. So stop by BJ Pawn today for a no-obligation offer. BJ Pawn, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. Have you ever, we talked about you turning down cases, and you can do that in your business. Right. But when you're doing work for the 21st Judicial, you have to take those cases, and we did cover how at that point, regardless of someone's guilt or innocence, if anything else, you're just defending the rights of that individual and the law in general.
Right.
You have to kind of put your personal feelings aside. How hard is that to do on some of those cases?
It's not really that hard to do. Like on drug cases and even murder cases, the hardest ones to handle like that you don't want to be in are the like sexual molestation, that kind of stuff where the crime disgusts you, the person disgusts you. Yeah. The reading the material disgusts you, but you don't have a choice.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I can imagine, and I say this a lot, but with police officers, they see a lot of horrible things, right? And as do attorneys. And so sometimes it takes a special person to be able to separate themselves from that. And I guess, in a way, they almost become desynthesized to it, and to borrow a Woody Overton term. I guess you just see it so much, it doesn't have the effect of the first time you ever saw that.
No, I mean you get used to seeing it, but I mean I had one that was really, really bad that I pointed on as well. It was a guy by the name of Dale Church. He was a fire chief or something out in Livingston or Albany or somewhere, and he had just molesting this girl. It was just a terrible case, and they brought in all kind of evidence where he had molested his cousins and his sisters and whatever, and he was just a horrible person to deal with. It got him a what I thought was a great deal, and he said, "No, I want a trial." I said, "Okay, well, then you have the trial, and of course he gets 150 years." But the reason I'm bringing it up is I remember that generally after you have a trial, both the prosecutor and the defense attorney will go in and talk to the jurors afterwards. Right. Win, lose, or draw. You want to know, what did I do that was good? What did I do that was bad? Why did you find my guy guilty? Or if you were one of the people who voted innocent, why did you vote? What was it? What was the facts of the case? Because generally, you never know what a jury's going to do. You base your case on, X over here, and you go in there, well, why'd you convict him? Well, because he said the dog was behind the fence and there was no fence in the picture. Right. But the pictures were from, last week, and this happened 5 years ago when there was a fence. And, so they would make a decision based on something that had nothing that you emphasized. So you like to go talk to the jury afterward. In that Church case, I remember I went back with Charlotte. She's Foster now, Judge Foster. But she was a prosecutor then. She was Charlotte Herbert. And we went back to talk to the jury. I'll never forget. She walked in first, and then I walked in afterward, and she goes, "Look! He's really a nice guy. Don't blame him."
That's right. Yes, because perception's a funny thing, right? And people will relate you to the people you represent sometimes, and it's probably from a understanding standpoint. That's what I find human beings can't wrap their mind around the whole innocent until proven guilty concept. And it's hard for all of us. I mean, you see things on social media and so-and-so was arrested. Well, they might not have done it.
And that's what every jury trial, always asks the same question. Do you think just because he's sitting here, he must have done something? And generally, 85 to 90% of them will go, well, yeah, he wouldn't be here if he didn't do something.
Yeah.
The police wouldn't have arrested him if he didn't do it.
It is human nature. It's that first assumption that people have. As far as your practicing of law, do you practice in any particular state? Like, I would imagine you have to be licensed in each individual state that you practice in, or you just Louisiana?
No, I'm actually licensed in Arkansas.
Okay.
I've never handled a case in Arkansas. What had happened was, I previously mentioned Franklin Foyle.
Yeah.
We had studied for the bar together, and he had already accepted an appointment to go be a judge advocate in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And they called him and said, "Look, you can leave as soon as you've passed a bar exam." So he started researching, because Louisiana, you take the bar. I think back then you took it in June or July, and you didn't get your results till September.
Oh, wow.
Because it was
painful.
Because back then it was all handwritten.
Yeah, it wasn't a Scantron.
It's all essay.
Wow.
So it takes hours and hours for them to read it and grade it. And so you didn't get your results for 3 months.
Oh.
And so he had done the research, and he said, well, Arkansas has a 90% pass rate, and they get their results in like 10 days.
Yeah.
Because theirs were mostly multiple choice. So he said, so I'm going to go up there and take the bar. Why don't you go? So we finished the Louisiana bar on Friday, and then got up Sunday morning and drove to Little Rock.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
And went to the law library up there and pulled some old tests, and then sat down Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday there and took the Arkansas bar. And we happened to both pass it. And then the only time I've been back was to get sworn in, but I am licensed there.
Interesting. Well, if you're in Arkansas, reach out. So you have to take the bar in each individual state.
If you're Louisiana, because we're unique. If you pass the bar in California, you can get reciprocity in Nevada and Oregon, and everybody has reciprocity with everybody else, but nobody has reciprocity with Louisiana.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, there you go. And I would imagine as far as Louisiana is concerned, you can practice all over the state. You take clients from all over the state. If
I can. I generally don't. I don't try to stay within this immediate area.
Sure. I'm sure it makes life a lot easier, for sure, when you do that. Now, what would you say the biggest mistake clients make before they come to you? Like, there's a point in time they're charged with something, obviously, and then at some point in time they figure out you're the best lawyer in Livingston Parish and they want to call you. What is something that they come in and you're like, wish you wouldn't have done that?
Well, most of the time, the thing you wish they wouldn't have done is talk.
Yeah.
Especially to the police.
Maintain the right to remain silent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely use your right to remain silent.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Other than that, it's don't talk to people about this stuff. Then people tell other people and they get the facts wrong, and then things get out that aren't true and hurt your case. The other thing is to shop for a lawyer by price and by promises. You know, if you walk into a lawyer's office in a criminal case and they say, give me X number of dollars and I can achieve this, I can make it go away, or, you're not going to go to jail. That's fine if it's something that you're not going to go to jail, but there's lawyers out there who will promise people.
Promise them the moon and give them the stars. Or
promise them the things that can't be delivered.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. After Hurricane Ida, I called one company to look at my patio cover, and that was Dreamscape Construction. Dreamscape Construction makes home improvements easy so you can spend less time stressing and more time enjoying your outdoor space. Avoid the mistakes of hiring inexperienced and uninsured contractors to work on your home. Dreamscape Construction stands by all products and installation, and upon completion, every job is personally inspected by the owner, and I like that. Dreamscape Construction's cleanup guarantee means no scrap or mess will be left behind. That includes any removal of existing structures to be repaired. All material remnants will be hauled away upon completion at no expense to the homeowner. Gutters on your home help prevent land erosion and foundation issues. Insulated patio covers can even reduce patio heat by more than 20 degrees, and screen enclosures can help keep your unwanted pest out of your relaxation areas. Dreamscape Construction specializes in 6-inch seamless gutters, insulated patio covers, and screen enclosures. They are licensed and insured with 20 years of gutter and patio installation experience. Call 225-445-2744 or visit them on the web at dreamscapebr.com. That's DREAMSCAPEBR.com to schedule a free quote today. Dreamscape Construction, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders. Anything to get that case, right? Yeah, interesting. And of your cases that you've done, I'm sure there were some times people came in and they were legit innocent.
Oh yeah,
and charged with something. Was there ever anyone that you were just like, man, I know this guy didn't do this, and it was just a battle to prove that?
I've had two in the last couple of years that were just like that, and actually they're both of them. Everybody likes Google reviews. Both of them wrote me great Google reviews like that. But,
yes,
one of them was a case in Walker where a guy and his wife had gotten into a disagreement. They obviously weren't getting along. So she called the police, and it was over some fighting over an iPad or something. And so the police were going to, arrest him, probably not give him a summons to come to court. He said, well, anything else happened? He said, oh, yeah, well, the other night while I was asleep, he raped me.
Oh, Lord.
So then, oh, no, now he's in jail, no bond, no nothing.
Yeah.
So he spends almost 60 days in jail. In the meantime, she's selling everything he owns. And they were recently married, so the house was already his. Everything in the house was already his. So she's out there. She's selling his lawnmower, his washer, his dryer, his dishes, his furniture, his guns, everything he owns. She's selling, and I'm showing the DA, look, she's selling everything he owns, and and then I said he didn't do this. There's no evidence of it, whatever. They go, oh yeah, but she told us he did this to his first wife. So I get a hold of the first wife, and she goes, no, he never did anything like that to me. So then she calls the DA. So finally, after about 60 days of him being in jail, literally with murderers, they finally dropped all the charges. But he gets out and he's
wow.
Well, first of all, she sold everything he owned, and in order to pay me and to keep paying, and she didn't pay any of the bills. So she didn't pay the electric bill, didn't pay the gas bill, didn't pay the house note. So everything's piling up. So he had to, I had to do a power of attorney for him, and he had to liquidate his 401k, which of course is a huge penalty because he wasn't retired yet.
Yeah.
So that probably cost him $20,000. So she cost him easily $40,000 or $50,000, and he was not guilty of anything.
Wow.
And did 60 days in jail. Now, I rarely do civil suits, so I did sue her once he got out, and we had a successful case, and Judge Abels awarded him, I think, $220,000, but she doesn't have it. He'll never get it.
Yeah, yeah. That's golly.
And then I had another one, which happened right here in Denham Springs. And this poor kid, he got arrested. It's kind of the same thing. It's always a husband-wife thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But he was. This
usually would get you in trouble.
Right. Well, they weren't married. They weren't married, but they had a kid together, and they broke up. His name was on the lease and everything, but they were broken up, and he went back to the house and got some stuff out of the house, and she had him charged with burglarizing the house or unauthorized entry into the house, and said, and he stole my gun. And so they arrest him, and it's right at the beginning of COVID. And so that's the example. He's in jail, and they said, well, look, you've never been in trouble before. If you plead guilty, you can get out tomorrow. He said, but I didn't do it.
Right.
I didn't do it. They said, well, if you want a trial, you're going to have to stay in here probably a year, maybe a year and a half. So he said, oh, well, shoot, I'll say I did it.
Yeah.
He said, I did it. So he got out, and I didn't represent him then. So he's out about 6 months, and she calls him and says, do you want to see the baby or, his daughter? And he says, sure, So she said, all right. And he lived right behind the library right here on 190.
Mm-hmm.
And so she says, all right, we'll meet me at the parking lot of the library. It's about 8 o'clock at night. So she pulls up, and he walks in and gets in the car, and he's in the car. I think we figured it like 47 seconds. And, 6 LPs pull up, and she's got all kind of drugs in the trunk and whatever,
Lord.
And the gun, which he was convicted of stealing, which he never stole because she still had it.
Right, yeah. There's the evidence.
So then he goes back to jail. He's on a probation violation. Now he's looking at 10 years in prison. He hires me. I was able to go get the video from the library, the parking lot, and show that, he'd only been in the car, half a minute, and these drugs were in the trunk. Nobody opened the trunk, so that they were, unable to get his charges dropped. But had there been no video, it would have been an open shut case. So he's in the car. There's all the drugs in the car. He's done.
That's a great point. Yeah. Wow. And that's good examples of some situations where.
But if there's no camera, he's doing 10 years in prison.
That's right. Think about that. That's just in one of that 5% at that point, right? Let me ask you this: lie detector test, and I've actually talked to Woody about this a little bit because obviously he was a lie detector administrator.
Right.
What is your advice on lie detector tests? Do you take them or not?
I like them.
Yeah.
They're not admissible in court, but especially in sex cases.
Yeah.
In most other cases, they're generally not too helpful. But almost all these molestation cases or whatever, it's a he said, she said, nobody was there to see it. They're generally, a lot of times they don't get reported till a year or two later. So there's no physical evidence. There's no, there's no medical evidence. There's no DNA. There's no, semen. There's no blood. There's no nothing. And it's there, and they're sitting there telling you, there's no way I didn't do this. It's all BS, and then they've got a pretty convincing story that they did do it.
Yeah.
A lot of times, what I'll do is I'll say, look, are you willing to take a lot? It tells me, what am I dealing with?
Yeah.
You know?
And interesting, lie detection is so interesting in that you're right. It's not admissible in court. And I think a lot of that hinges on the person administering the test, first of all, has to know what they're doing. And
that's another thing. There's certain people I'll let do.
Yeah.
I'll let do the donut, and some people I won't.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not going to do it, I'll ask, if somebody comes in, you ask, do you turn down cases? Yeah, I turn down cases all the time. And one of the things I'll do is if they come in and tell me their story, I'm like, well, that's great. If that's the way it happened, we can get you out of this. Are you willing to take a lie detector test? Because then I can go to the DA and tell them the story and look and show them this lie detector test that says, yeah, not only did he tell me the story, when he told the lie detector guy, it checked out.
Yeah.
Just to see, and if they go, oh, no, I ain't doing that.
I don't trust them.
Then I know, okay. Well,
yeah.
He's lying to me too.
Wrong. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. So speaking of that, and speaking of clients talking to you and things like that, attorney-client privilege. Let's talk about that for a second. What does that mean? Hey, when it comes to podcasting local business, I want perfection. And when it comes to banking, I want personal service, and that's why I bank with Hancock Whitney. Hancock Whitney Bank not only provides me with a local business banker, but also the experience and knowledge only a bank with a history of over 100 years can provide. With over 230 branches in the Gulf South, Hancock Whitney can service all of your banking needs, including commercial lending, small and large business accounts, personal bank accounts, and much more. For more information, visit HancockWhitney.com. Hancock Whitney Bank, your dream, their mission.
Just means whatever you tell me, I can't tell anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And
so by anybody, that means anybody.
And so essentially that means that it's in their best interest to be as honest as possible with you.
Absolutely.
Probably the worst thing you can do is lie to your attorney, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So don't lie to your attorney.
Because, you lie to me and I go in there and present a defense based on your lie and they prove it's a lie, then not only are you sunk, then I look like a.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly.
And I pride myself, and I think I have a reputation with the district attorney and with the judges that I'm honest with them. Mm-hmm. I don't go in and lie. If somebody tells me and I believe their story, I go in and talk to the DA to try to, get the charges dropped or reduced or whatever based on what they're telling me. And then, when if the DA then calls me the next day and goes, you came in and lied, you're, off to me.
Yeah.
Then, I was like, I didn't do it on purpose. I don't ever want to do that on purpose.
Right.
And now I got
you
to
were lied
represent
to.
you.
Yeah.
Now I got to represent you, and I'm pissed off at you because you've hurt my standing with them, because I can only achieve what I can achieve if those people respect what I'm telling them.
Yeah. You got to know all the facts in order to put together a proper defense, I would imagine. Let me ask if someone is charged with a crime and what would be like the first step with getting you to represent them? Just call you?
Just call. I don't charge anything for the initial meeting, no matter what, whether you're calling me about, a speeding ticket or a murder case,
Yeah.
And I generally try to spend about 45 minutes to an hour with somebody. I explain to them the process, how many court dates they're going to have or possible court dates, how long everything's going to take.
Probably the number one question you get. How long is the process, right?
Well, not really. Most people, most people want to know, am I going to jail?
Oh yeah, that's true. That one, and then how long?
I mean, that's the number one. And you'd be surprised. People think they're going to jail for stuff that they're not going to jail for.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that probably their first time ever experience or dealing with anything like that, and they're scared to death.
Yeah.
And think they're going to get sent to Angola or something like that over whatever. And we're obviously going to link all the contact information in this video, and that way people can just click on it if they want more information on that. I did check out your social media a little bit. Got some good information on there. One thing I like is that you answer a lot of just general questions about the law on your site that can kind of prep people maybe before they even come in your office and talk to you.
Right.
Speaking of your office, where is your office?
It's at 14292 Florida Boulevard.
Which
in
is
Livingston.
in Livingston. Okay, so right there around the courthouse and all that.
And if
area.
anybody knows a good sign person,
I do know
the sign still says Stewart Medical out front. And we've tried 3 different people to come and give us a new sign, but they never follow up.
So don't go see you if you got a sore throat. Okay, so
now, there is a thing underneath it that says Brock Law Firm, but the big sign still says Stewart Medical.
There you go. What did you think of the Johnny Depp trial?
You know, the same girl that helps me with the social media, who's really great, she asked me, she said, that's really a topical thing. Why don't you, give me your thoughts on it, and I'll, put something on your social media. And I said, you know what? I did not watch a single minute of it.
You're kidding.
I have. All I know is that he got more money, or he got the judgment in his favor.
Oh yeah.
Personally, I just think it's a giant waste of court time.
Look, in my time, because I was glued. It was just, they had one. I have a passion for this law stuff, even though I'm not a lawyer, and I love watching lawyers kind of battle in a courtroom. And that young lady that was on his team was a pit bull and came out of nowhere. Yeah.
I heard her cross-examination.
Unbelievable.
Was very good.
Yeah. And, you would expect that for a Johnny Depp. I mean, he's got all the money in the world to pay for that. But she was kind of an unheard of young girl, and it was probably the perfect person to have cross-examine that lady that he was going against. So. William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance in Denham Springs can service all of your insurance needs. Offering auto, life, health, and commercial insurance, William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance is a proud supporter of Local Leaders, the podcast. What was the toughest case you ever worked? If you had to pick one?
It depends on what you mean by tough. Like toughest to like with the one I was talking about with Dale Church, just because it didn't want to be there, disgusted by everything.
Yeah, that was a hard one just to personally be involved with.
Yeah, just to, and to get the dirty looks and the whatever because you're there. And that was the hardest one to try.
Yeah.
And to motivate yourself to get up every day and go do it.
Yeah.
When you parties, you want to just sit there and just go, just let them do what they want to do because it deserves it.
Yeah. Right. And that's a good point you bring up. And that's something I wanted to come out in this interview is that just because you're a criminal defense lawyer does not mean you don't think that way about, you're human, right?
Right.
You're human. Jasper's human, y'all. He's not a machine.
And I guess the hardest case on me ever has been one I did. I guess it's been 6 or 7 years now. And it wasn't a big time case. It was a lady got it's like a purse snatching, but they grabbed her at the Walmart parking lot here in Denham Springs, and she got drugged about 20, 30 feet, and then she got hurt. She didn't break anything, but she was scraped up and beat up. And they arrested a girl for driving the car who I would bet my life on it is innocent. And she's still sitting in prison. That's been the hardest one on me because I prepared more than I ever had. I thought I did a great job. You know, the 10-2 jury verdict thing, it was a 10-2 verdict. It wasn't unanimous. So, but they convicted her, and for some reason, even though she was not, you know, a major criminal or anything, the judge gave her 40 years.
Wow. Oh my Lord. Yeah.
So that's been the hardest one on me.
Those are tough. I can only imagine that those are tough. And that's why I say that, you know, criminal defense attorneys are necessary. They're important, because not everybody did it. And so that's where you come in, and that had to be a tough one to deal with and swallow. And it's interesting. The prosecution typically has the preponderance of proof that they have to show, because by nature we're innocent. We're supposed to be assumed innocent. So they have to prove that you're guilty. Sometimes
supposed to be, but most jurors don't think that way.
That's right.
It goes back to the question, do you think he did something because he's sitting here? Yeah. So that immediately don't presume him innocent.
Yeah. What a hard thing to balance, man.
And I've asked juries, same thing, you know, okay, if you had to vote right now, how would you vote? You know, oh, guilty. I was like, you hadn't even heard anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Last question on that. So you practice obviously all kinds of different aspects of criminal defense. Is there one that you maybe have a way higher percentage of working with than others, or does it matter?
I mean, it's mostly drug cases, because that's what's mostly. I mean, I'd say if you went out to the jail, it's probably 75 to 80% of the people are there for drugs. And
really,
wow. You know, there's a violent crime, but there's not near as much violent crime. It's mostly drug possession with intent. You know, there's burglaries and car burglary, but all those are basically drug related.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You still do work with the 21st Judicial?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So
doing a murder case June 20th on a conflict case.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, I appreciate you coming on. We've been talking 50 minutes.
Oh, wow.
You'd think it was 5. I could talk about this stuff all day, Jasper Brock. No doubt about it. If anybody needs to reach out, we're going to link everything you need to this video, so that way you ain't got to stop driving, write anything down. We're going to link all that to the social media as well, and like I say, you've got a great Facebook they can check out. You have a website that I checked out that we're also going to link. Free consultations out there, right. So it's not going to cost anything to sit down and talk to Jasper Brock and work out together if
right.
he's interested.
And one thing I learned a long time ago, went to a CLE, continuing legal education, and they said, you know, the biggest complaint about lawyers and when complaints get filed with the bar is that they don't return phone calls or they can't get in touch with their lawyer. So I answer my phone.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a huge separator.
Every phone call, I answer my phone.
Personally.
And that's something I did learn from Wayne. I was like, when I first started, I said, why are you answering the phone? You had 2 secretaries out there.
Yeah.
He's like, because nobody's going to say they couldn't get in touch with me.
Yeah.
You know? And so so nobody's going to say, oh, I hired him, but I can't get in touch with him.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. And in your large firms, I mean, they form that work out to associate lawyers in there or whatever they have. That, you know, they're not. Gordon McKernan, I would imagine, is not in court with every wreck.
I don't think
personally.
I don't think he's ever been in a court.
Yeah, so I mean, you're getting maybe his firm, but you're not getting him.
Yeah, right.
So that's a huge separator, and you bring up a good point. So so when you hire you get you, right?
Right.
So
and you can get in touch with me.
Yeah, and you get in touch with me. He answers his phone. That's 50% of the battle right there, and very rare in your profession. So. Great job there. I hope everyone enjoyed this podcast. Man, I had a good time. You have a good time?
I did.
This is fun. So if you need more information, like we said, just check out those links below and get in touch with Brock Law Firm for for any sort of questions you have, or if you need a consultation, if you're charged with a criminal offense of some sort. I want to thank all the listeners and viewers for watching and subscribing. Please continue to share the podcast. And until next time, I'm Jim Chapman, reminding you to love your community, support a local business just like Brock Law Firm, and keep leading. Thank you very much. Stephanie Berthelot and the crew at SR Enterprise can handle it all, from sheetrock to texture to paint. Give Stephanie a call at 504-432-9284. SR Enterprise, where they spread the paint and you spread the word.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses, so don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.